This critical gathering focused on bolstering South Sudan financial security. Government officials and international experts addressed pressing concern, highlighting the nation's commitment to strengthening its financial integrity.
This is an event that has not taken place, though we did a minor when we were doing the launching of our national risk assessment. But this one is called the national awareness, which I was expecting the number to be bigger than this. But all in all, the name remained the same, that we are conducting the awareness. The position I'm here for is the Commissioner for FIU. We have been working all around. We have done a lot of training with some of you here. I want to give my special thanks to the World Bank. All of us knows our economic situation in the country at the moment, but the World Bank stood with us. All those training I'm talking about, the benchmarking, so far we have conducted in Uganda, Kenya, and other places, are being facilitated by the World Bank. So much appreciation for that, and thanks to World Bank. Let me not forget our Minister of Interior. Honorable Minister, let me give you this special task. For you aiding the country delegation to Namibia, it was first of that kind. It has never happened. Can we clap for her? There is a very important thing there a country must do it. It is a must political will. Political will means if a senior government officials travel to go and defend the country, that shows that there is a political will of that country. You know, and our honorable minister have done that. And we are still asking you, whenever we ask you, plus other ministers, because what we got from Uganda and Kenya when we did the benchmarking, they were also in the same. During the presentation, you will see where we are. We are the grey list. We decided to ask, how did you come out from grey list? One of the things they mentioned was this political will. Because they said when they go for the ICRG, they can go maybe even 10, 15 members. And among them, there will be even 5, 7 ministers, national ministers. You know? So now our honorable minister, we started, since it was one, maybe next time, we will get the importance of this unit so that we can go at least 5 ministers. The presentation we are going to do here, it is going to be 4 of them. FIU, somebody will talk about FIU later on, what is FIU, the mandate and everything. And the 2 is that ICRG I've just mentioned. The ICRG is going to talk about our status as South Sudan. Where are we? So far, what have we done? And what are we supposed to do now? Because we are in a place which is not good for us. And for this to succeed, it needs collective responsibility from everybody here, not FIU. FIU is just a coordination office. It is supposed to be done by different institutions here. So the other one will be about our law. As the FIU, we are going to fight all the financial crimes. We have a law which was amended in 2024. That law is giving us power in combating the financial crimes. We'll also get a presentation about it. And briefly also we'll hear about the national assessment so far, so that everybody should know also what are the risks of in the country. Because you should know what are your own risks. We'll get them here, so that when we go out to our institutions, we can try to reduce those risks. I'm requesting you, if we can stay and get all those presentations, it will help us as a country. As I said, there is something that I said, we are not in a good way at the moment. There is a body there called FATIAP. Somebody will talk about it later on. That has fixed South Sudan to be under grey list, where we are now. From grey list is to another different area, which is black list. Now, one of the requirements a country is supposed to do is this national awareness. And we'll see it later on in SRG. National awareness is very important in the country to conduct. So we did not do it all this time because of those some difficulties, but today we are doing it, and we will continue doing it using even radios, newspapers, and other things.
So we have a project funded by the World Bank, and it's called Southern Sudan Financial Sector Project. It's an 18 million project, basically to support and finance financial sector institution in South Sudan. The main objective is to strengthen the financial institutions that are working in this. And top of them is the Bank of South Sudan as a coordinator for the financial activity in the country. And this goes down to all the other government institutions that are working on financial area, including the FIU, and we've moved further to private institutions, that those are the banks, commercial banks, non-commercial banks, insurance companies, microfinance institutions, and so on and so. So the main objective is to ensure that Southern Sudan financial institutions is effective in delivering its work in a transparent and in a way that other institutions of the world work. Narrow down this to FIU. One of the critical support that is coming to the FIU is strengthening their ability to work toward controlling the financial intelligence. So the project is supporting them in ensuring that they have full capacity. And one of the biggest support that is coming in is to automate their intelligence system. Most of the country are using a system called GoMail. We are aware about it. And this is what is integrated in all financial institutions to ensure the FIU effective work is in place. So this is one of the support that is coming in. Now, for the FIU to work and this system to work, all the other financial institutions are supposed to integrate this into their working so that financial crimes, financial intelligence are captured and they can be able to say, this is where we are performing badly and this is where we are supposed not performing well. So this support is coming in. The other support is to all the stakeholders, and this gathering is meant for the stakeholders. The stakeholders' capacity in understanding and combating financial crime is paramount. And we begin by highlighting and bringing on board experts that are supposed to support. And one of it is also learning through institutions that are already established. So we have started with rigorous kind of benchmarking and training the data analyst. We all understand financials activity are digitized, and we're supposed to have a data center where they can look at all the transactions that are happening or all financial communication that are happening, and this is supposed to be done by the FIU as the intelligent body. So the project is supporting them to establish a data center to ensure that they can be able to do proper interceptions of all transactions that are happening and control the boundary. As we are aware, South Sudan has a very open market, and financial crimes are very high. And therefore, without them being in a good house, they cannot perform what they wanted. So these three other projects is ensuring that FIU house is in place alongside with all the stakeholders, because they are not only mandated to do the work, there are people doing work. And without that transparency of communications, they cannot be able to do their work effectively. So this is where we stand, and this is where the three other projects is in. House at the Bank of South Sudan as a coordinator, and it is supporting all the other institutions, including commercial bank, and to ensure that the supervisory responsibility of Bank of South Sudan is in place. So this is all we are doing, and time to time we'll be engaging, and the project will be engaging all the stakeholders to ensure We are establishing what we call South Sudan Financial Sector Committee. And this committee will facilitate how integrations of FIU work, Bank of South Sudan role and its supervisory responsibility are supposed to be effective.
Bank of South Sudan First Deputy Governor Addis Ababa called for a strengthened legal framework to enhance the FIU and combat money laundering.
We come together at this crucial moment for our nation, a moment that calls for decisive action to safeguard our nation from the serious consequences of financial mismanagement, illicit transactions, and non-compliance with international anti-money laundering and country financing terrorism standards. South Sudan stands at the turning point. I think we were already warned by the Commissioner. The choices we make today, our laws, our policies, our political and financial commitments, the political will and financial commitments, our enforcement measures, our collective actions will determine whether we'll move toward financial stability, global acceptance, or risk economic isolations and blacklisting by the international regulatory body. These meetings marked a crucial steps in our effort to remove South Sudan from the Financial Action Task Force FETAP grey list. It is a moment of urgency. South Sudan, like all nations, is a part of the global financial system. Our businesses, our banks, government institutions rely on international transactions, investment flows, trade relationships to sustain our economy. However, we face a looming risk. Blacklisting is a risk that can be imposed on us by the global financial regulatory body if we don't take urgent and concrete steps to address deficiencies in our financial system. Therefore, we must be clear about the dangers before us. Money laundering, terrorist financing are not just financial crimes. They are a threat to our national security, economic stability, and international reputations. The Financial Action Task Force and other global financial watchdogs have identified gaps that we must urgently address. Allow me to mention a few. We recognize the weak M&L, CFT, CPF regulations and enforcement there. We do have limited capacity in a law enforcement and financial institution that detects and report suspicious flows. We do lack the national awareness, and that's why we are conducting these days of national awareness on the risk and the consequences of financial crimes. The failure to meet financial obligations, such as timely payment for membership fees, to ESMALAC, the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group, and other international body has been counted as one of the areas that we must urgently address. If we fail to act decisively, authoritatively, the consequences will be severe. International blacklisting, which will make it difficult for all our banks and businesses, I hope they are all here, to operate normally in a global world, on a global market. There is a risk to reduce the investment's confidence that will lead to capital flights and economic maybe stagnations. There's also a risk of financial institutions facing high compliance costs, restrictions from international counterparts. Again, there is also national security threats as unchecked illicit financial flow can fuel the crimes, corruption, and instability. There is also a possibility of diplomatics and economic isolation if we allow ourselves to be blacklisted. That will limit our engagement in a global market. Now, since we are all here as stakeholders, call for this day of awareness, our role is to prevent the risk, and we must adopt what we call a whole-of-nation approach. It requires an effort of each and every sector represented here, because you have a crucial role to play. And what are those roles? If we look at the governments and regulations, there is a need for us to strengthen our MNL, CFT, CPF legal framework and ensure a strict enforcement. There is a need for the government and regulator to enhance interagency coordination through financial intelligence units and the National Task Force on MNL and CFT regimes. And I think those of FIU can attest to this. They've been trying to attend most of workshop conferences that are organized by their counterpart, but because of lack of financials, sometimes it's difficult, and that is counted as a lack of a political will or maybe a financial support. We need to align South Sudan policies with FATF recommendations and international best practice. And I believe FIU has made a lot of effort to amend the Act of 2012, now I believe 2024. So we are given the tools that is aligned with international best practice. Again, to meet our financial obligations, and I'm looking to you, Honorable Deputy Minister, because this has been a pressing issue for FIU to pay the membership fees that is required. Again, for financial institutions, bank, insurance, microfinance, forex bureau, and mobile money operators that might be present here. We need to implement a robust KYC and customer due diligence measures, reporting suspicious transactions on time to FIU, also training the staff to detect and prevent illicit and illegal financial activities. For the law enforcement, maybe judiciary, we want to strengthen the way we do investigations, the trial and convictions of financial crime. We want to also enhance the cooperation between law enforcement agencies, the regulators, the financial institution, by ensuring that MNL, CFT, CPF offenses are treated as a serious crime with a severe penalties. For private sector and civil society who are here present, promoting transparency, corporate governance, and financial ethics is key. We also want to raise public awareness, and this is one of the initiatives, on the dangers of money laundering, terrorist financing, etc., etc. Engaging in a public-private partnership to enhance compliance and enforcement measures. To our international partners, provide the technical assistance and knowledge sharing on the global MNL and CFT best practice. Enhancing cross-border cooperation in investigations, prosecution of financial crimes. Is a moment of call for action. A call for action to prevent blacklisting and strengthen our compliance. We cannot afford to be passive observers, all of us, in this exercise. We must act and act now. We must ensure that South Sudan fully complies with international financial regulations. We must demonstrate that political will and institutional commitment to tackling money laundering, terrorist financing is taken serious. We must work together. Government, financial institution, law enforcement, private sector, international partners to strengthen our financial integrity. I urge each of you to take this challenge seriously and support the Financial Intelligence Unit, the FIU, and the National Task Force, and to take ownership, because that's why we are here. We want to take ownership of the responsibilities that are ahead of us. Ownership to fight against the financial risk and financial crime. This is about our nation's economy. This is about our survival. This is also about our prosperity. The success of FIU strategy will depend on a collective action of all the stakeholders. The collective commitments, but also the accountability of not acting. Together, we will build a strong, transparent, and respected financial system. Together, we'll protect South Sudan financial system. Together, we'll ensure our nation's future.
The Deputy Minister of Finance, Beth George, pledged the ministry full commitment to implementing anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing frameworks.
We applaud the National Legislature for passing the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing bill, which was signed to an act by the President of the Republic a few months ago. While the introduction of this law represents a key moment in our ability to identify suspicious transactions and lower risk within our financial institutions, adhering to AML and CTF standards is not just important, it is crucial for improving South Sudan's reputation and making it more appealing to foreign investors. This means strengthening our regulatory framework, breaking down potential barriers to international trade and financing, while also fostering a positive image that draws important investment and tourism, ultimately driving sustainable economic growth. To this end, I want to stress that the Minister of Finance and Planning is fully committed to putting the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing framework into action. And to this end, I call all relevant government institutions to come together in our mission to support the Financial Intelligence Unit in the efforts to have South Sudan removed from the grey list. To effectively combat illicit activities like money laundering and terrorist financing, it is important to take proactive steps. These pressing issues deserve our immediate attention. as addressing them is crucial not only for improving our global standard, but also for protecting our financial system from serious threats. Such threats could lead to repercussions, including potential sanctions and economic isolation. By implementing best practice in our compliance efforts, we can more effectively identify, deter, and prevent activities related to money laundering and terrorist financing. Additionally, I would like to underline that the Minister of Finance and Planning, alongside the Bank of South Sudan and our development partners, including the World Bank, is dedicating to supporting this crucial unit called Financial Intelligence Unit. Together, we will work to put in place strong mechanisms for implementing effective regulatory frameworks and boosting law enforcement capabilities. These strategic efforts are vital for strengthening the sustainability and integrity of our financial institutions, building public trust and creating a safer environment for everyone, especially for our citizens. Thank you so much.
The Minister of Interior, Angelina Teny, stressed the government responsibility to protect public resources, urging participants to implement workshop findings and advocating for the safety of Financial Intelligence Unit personnel who investigate serious crimes.
Be part of this awareness workshop or seminar. Why it is important, because I am aware when I went with the team to Namibia of what's at stake. And this awareness function is in fact one of the activities that the country is supposed to conduct as to address some of the issues and the concerns that came from the benchmarking. And the awareness is very critical, because I'm also aware that people in crucial places in the government system know very little about the importance of FIU and the activities that the FIU are doing. Even when you talk to people who are supposed to be stakeholders in addressing issues to do with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing, they have very little or no clue at all. So this emphasizes the importance of this awareness, and it should not end here. We should really be thinking about ensuring that this awareness goes to all, even if we go to institution by institution by institutions. This is critical. Critical because we have nowhere else left to go. We either move up or move down. We are on the gray list, and if we don't act, we move down. Blacklist. Blacklists have serious repercussion and consequences, and this needs to be known not only by government institutions but even normal citizens. It has an impact even for your own transaction as a person. If you want to send school fees to the region, it affects it. So it's not only a function for the government to ensure that we address these issues of money laundering, which leads to another important concern by the whole international community, which is terrorist financing. The financial system, we are aware, internationally is interconnected. We know, when was it Black Friday, when it happens, and the collapse of or what affected the financial system in the US have had consequences that the rest of the world continue to live with to this day. So we should now, part of the awareness is that we should never think that we are an island. We are part of this network of the financial system, the global financial system. It impacts your economy, it impacts your service delivery, it impacts even the livelihood of the individual, and so on. So this is to emphasize the importance of the awareness. Awareness would lead to addressing the concerns that have been raised in the benchmarking. We have exhausted our opportunities for us to continue to remain on the grey list. This is the last opportunity. We have less than exactly 1 month before the next hearing, where we have an opportunity again to go and present and prove that we are actually making efforts in order to comply with the international standard and what is required of us in order for us to be in compliance. And this may encourage the moving from the grey list. We must ensure that the moving from the grey list must be moving up, because if it's moving down, I don't even want to think about the consequences. Some of them have been mentioned here by all the previous speakers. Now, this benchmarkings that we need to be addressing, and the areas that have been highlighted, especially the areas that have been highlighted like with no action whatsoever, they're important for us to adhere to. And that's why I want to encourage everybody who's sitting here today to remain for the whole day, so that you understand, first of all, what are these areas that have been highlighted. Second, what are the action that needs to be taken. Third, who is supposed to take this action. We have very limited time, and we are racing with that time. Anti-money laundering, sometimes the political will that have been talked about, sometimes people see it as targeting the government. And this is from lack of awareness. This is from lack of awareness, because even if, like now we have people whose money has been frozen in other countries. If you were to be upfront about it, it is a matter of proving that your money is legit. But if you take it with fear and you want to keep it quiet, you lose out, the country loses out. Even if the money is not legit and the money has been frozen, the country can claim it back. So why not also tell us that I have some money somewhere, it has been frozen. FIU, Ministry of Finance, please see what you can do. Because if we bring it back to contribute to the development, the services, and the improvement of the lives of our people. So I believe also awareness would help individual in this sense. And political will is I don't know how to put it, but it is not only, we're not proving to the Action Financial Task Force that we are complying. We want to prove to ourselves as well that we are responsible. As a country, we are responsible for the protection of the resources of the people of this country. Now, how do we protect the resources? We must ensure that, all the gaps, all the leakages that allows for money movements, and especially within our economy where it's really a cash-based economy, are really identified and addressed. So we're protecting ourselves as individuals, we are also protecting the government, and we are protecting the country and the citizens when we take this crime. This crime is usually has a lot of connection with other organized crimes, other heinous organized crimes. You'd find that money laundering has a lot to do with trafficking in persons, and this is another crime that is also connected to terrorism worldwide. So the list is long. We, the FIU, the stakeholders like us in the law enforcement sector, the National Committee, have the responsibility to ensure that we bring this to the notice of everyone who's concerned, to play their role in order for this country not to be blacklisted. Ministry of Finance is a major stakeholder. And Ministry of Finance, I'm going to be very open here. Your support for as long as I have been in touch and engaged, your support have been really kind of on the weak side. But the Ministry of Finance is supposed to be on the forefront, because the Ministry of Finance is supposed to be concerned about even recovery with your usual big deficit in your budgets. You should really be working very closely with FIU to make sure that you also recover assets and so on. It will help. The other thing that I want to add is the protection for FIU members. FIU members or people who are working in FIU are dealing with very serious crimes. You send somebody whose salary is about $200 or less to investigate a $10 million crime. That's a joke. That person can decide if the FIU member has no integrity, if he's offered maybe even just 200,000 out of that money, he could just turn the other way, and so on. So when I say protection, on two folds, their status as members of FIU, we should really treat them like, I don't know, how do you, Dr. Addis, how do you people treat the members of Central Bank who are always looking at cash? Yeah, I think this should be considered, that their financial status needs to be considered, their income and the rest of it. I'm not saying give them millions, but I'm saying, at least let's not put them in a position to be tempted to turn a blind eye. We in the law enforcement sector as well, we have the same problem. So we are trying to upgrade these special units who are dealing with, investigations of financial crimes and what have you and whatnot. The other area is the physical protection itself. They could be made vulnerable because of the kind of work they do. So I think we need to be aware of all of that. I really don't want to prolong. I want to say that I am going to stay through, and I want everybody to stay through, and let us learn.
Preventing and combating financial crimes, thereby protecting the financial system. And this is by providing actionable intelligence. The FIU helps to maintain public trust and investor confidence in South Sudan financial institutions. And this is to ensure that compliance with the international standards, improving the country's financial reputation globally. The framework and the supervision, the overview of MLCFT, which is Anti-Money Laundering and Countering Financing of Terrorism Act 2012, amended 2024. The MLCFT Act 2012, amended 2024, established, this is the law that established FIU as an independent commission. The MLCFT Act 2012 is the cornerstone of South Sudan effort to combat financial crimes. This legislation provides the FIU with authority to gather, analyze, and disseminate financial intelligence. Supervision by the Ministry of Finance and Planning, the FIU operate under the supervision of the Ministry of Finance and Planning to ensure that ensuring alignment with the national financial policies and strategies. The ministry provides oversight and support to the FIU, facilitating its mandate to combat financial crimes. The regular reporting and accountability measures are in place to maintain transparency and effectiveness in the FIU operations. This is the structure of the Financial Intelligence Unit. Many people might not understand what the National Committee, in other institutions, National Committee is the board of directors. So, but in the context of South Sudan, the context of FIU, it is National Committee. So we have the National Committee, followed by the Commissioner, and then Executive Director. Then we have 6 directorates in FIU. I will start from the left side. We have the Directorate of ICT and System Security, which is led by the Director. We have Administration and Finance. We have the Monitoring and Operational Analysis Directorate. This is where all our analysts, that's where they sit, because their mandate is to analyze all the suspicious transactions that we receive. We have the International Cooperation and Data Exchange Directorate. We have Research, Planning, Training, and Innovation Directorate. Of course, these are the people who produce, in other countries, they say research and knowledge development. So basically, they develop the knowledge, not for FIU, but for the whole country, to make sure that we combat what we are talking about. We have the Directorate of Legal and Compliance. These are the team who make sure that criminals have no room to escape. And then each directorate will have a department and unit. There's also department and then unit after that. So there's a head of department and head of unit. So far, we also have the auditing department, which that we don't have, we have not recruited anyone yet in that part. We are coming up with another department which will be directly to the Office of the Commissioner. It's called Assets, Funds, Confiscations, and Recovery Department. This is a very important department. So it's going to be established with a consultation with the Commissioner and the National Committee. Also on the other side, we have South Sudan National Task Force. Because the law mandates the National Committee and also Commissioner to form any other working groups. So we have a National Task Force, and this National Task Force were the one actually who worked very hard during the National Risk Assessment. So if you know, some of you have already read the National Risk Assessment. It was because we became very successful because of the National Task Force. And it's actually a requirement by PATIAP to have that group. So they're sitting there. So they report directly to the Commissioner and the National Committee. Because myself as an Executive Director, I'm a member of the National Task Force. Commissioner is a member of the National Committee. Here is the anti-money laundering, countering financing of terrorism, countering proliferation financing institutional framework in South Sudan. This is how the system works, because many people need to understand. Financial Intelligence Unit is in the middle. It's the heart of the country. And I like how the Honorable Minister Angelina said that having FIU is very, very important. You can see where we sit in the middle. The National Committee is on the top. So, and then we have the National Task Force. Then on this side, we have the law enforcement agencies. The law enforcement agencies, these are Ministry of Interior, the police, CID, National Security, Anti-Corruption Commission, all the law enforcement agencies, so they sit here. Then you go to prosecution, judiciary. Of course, you know prosecutors, they sit, we have DPP, which is the Department of Public Prosecution within the Ministry of Justice, and we have the judiciary. So then, under Financial Intelligence Unit, we have financial and non-financial institutions. Of course, financial institutions, these are banks, the commercial banks, and all the other entities that deal with the financial issues. Then we have non-financial institutions where the private sector and even the government, where they come in, because these are non-financial institutions. Then on the other side, we have the supervisory authorities. The supervisory authorities, for example, we have NCA, we have even the Bank of South Sudan, we have even the FIU, we have all other relevant supervisory authorities who are assigned by law to supervise. For example, the Bank of South Sudan supervises the banks, the commercial banks. And then NCA, they supervise these telecommunication institutions. So that's where they sit. And then the reporting entities. Because each financial institution or even non-financial institution will have the reporting entities. These are reporting persons that they report to FIU. So this is the whole framework. Then this is the establishment. Of course, I've already talked about the establishment of the National Committee, because it's comprising all the government institutions. We have the Bank of South Sudan, and that's the National Committee is shared by the First Deputy Governor. Then we have the Minister of Finance and Planning, where the First and the Secretary sit. We have the Minister of Justice, we have a representative. Then Minister of Interior, this is where General Romo, who is the head of Interpol, is where he sits. Then we have Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. This is Ambassador Asitona, is the one representing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Then we have the Minister of Public Service and Human Resource Development. We have the Commission of FIU. Then we have the National Security Service. So this is the formation of the National Committee. Then we have the structure of the National Task Force. It is similar, only that it's a bit different from the National Committee, because the National Task Force is comprising of even the Bankers Association, Bar Association, all the ministries, the Ministry of Mining on this side, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Petroleum, all is covered more than even the National Committee. This is what formed the National Task Force. And then the relationship, because there's a question that what is the relationship of FIU with other economic crimes? Of course, like I said, the FIU is actively collaborates with the various economic crime units. That's including the Economic Division, CID, Anti-Corruption, Counter-Terrorism Unit, and other established specialized units in all other areas. So our regular coordination meetings, we always meet, just to share the intelligence and how we can work together to make sure that we combat the issue that we have as a country. Then FIU contribution in providing financial intelligence, of course, once we receive and analyze, we disseminate the intelligence. It depends. For example, if it is a corruption-related case, then it has to be disseminated to the Anti-Corruption Commission so that they can take a further investigation and then sent for prosecution, and then the matter is heard in court. So that's what we do. Then so far cases and cooperation effort by FIU, the FIU has so far received 100 STRs. And STRs, these are suspicious transaction reports, and about 80% are tax and corruption related cases. The successful interception of cross-border money laundering scheme through joint intelligence efforts. Because, like I said, all the cases that we have, 80% are tax and corruption related cases. So, then our role, because there's a question that why FIU is not sitting at the airport and also the border, like for example in Numuli. Yes, FIU does not maintain a physical presence at the border. And this is simply because our collaboration will work closely with all the government institutions to address financial crimes. And our mandate is just to collect and analyze financial data related to suspicious transactions. Because those who are in the borders, for example, the custom, if there's a case, we have the reporting persons, they will report to us anything that's suspicious. Then we analyze and send it back to those relevant institutions. The achievements of FIU on the left side, of course, Honorable Addis, Dr. Addis mentioned before, we have amended the law because the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering Financing of Terrorism Act 2012, it was not aligned to the international standard when it was enacted by the Parliament in 2012. So basically, we were required by the Financial Action Task Force to amend the law. And with the help of our parliamentarians, and also with the pressure, even by the Minister of Interior herself, and the rest of the team, the National Task Force, and the National Committee members. It was not easy, but the Specialized Committee on National Security and Public Order really worked hard. Also, Honorable Samuel, they worked very hard to make sure that this law is amended, and it was done. The ratification of all the UN instruments was also done and assented by the President on the 2nd of October 2024. We have the FIU staff, the recruitment was done. Even if we are still to recruit more, based, it will be subject to our budget, especially for 2025, 2026. We will see, we're supposed to have a good number of employees, because so far we are only 33 in number, and by law, or even based on our mandate, we're supposed to be 70 or even 90. So basically, we are going to do more recruitments. So, but successfully, the FIU has its staff. That's why they're sitting here. We have completed and evolved organizational structure. The membership of Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group was done in 2023, and we thank Dr. Addis is working now with the Ministry of Finance to make sure that the membership for 2024 is paid, so that we don't be cut off. The national risk assessment was done, and it is now public. It's a public document, even if it's still not it's not online yet, but it is a document available to read. We have the office where FIU is sitting, being rented. It's not bought yet. And also, despite of facilitation challenges, FIU has always attended international engagement to defend the country from being sanctioned. Because you heard here that we are on the grey list, and with all the challenges that we are facing in terms of the economical issues that we are going through as a country, but we do try our best to attend. Sometimes Commissioner can only send 2 or 3 or even 1 to attend on behalf of the whole country, which is not acceptable, because to defend the country we're supposed to have a good number of people from different fields to defend. But it has been a success. We have signed an MOUs with some of the countries, for example, the neighboring countries like Kenya and Uganda, and this is simply because for us to have the sharing of intelligence. Because if we need any information from Kenya or Uganda or all those countries, it is very easy to obtain the information. Then we have also functional national committee. We have the awareness, the first awareness was done last year based on the national risk assessment results and the dissemination of also the national risk assessment. And then the revenues collection increases. I think you'll be here, national revenue authorities talking about that, we are improving in terms of the collection. Just know that FIU is behind because the criminals are already afraid. So we are behind that. So the challenges, of course, we are facing because we're supposed to receive government from the World Bank, but it has been a delay because government security system, which this is a software for monitoring all the transactions. You don't actually put that system in a rental building. Why? Wherever you put it, because it's not a small system, one battery of that system, because they take about 4 batteries. That's what they call, there's a power, two batteries of power and 2 batteries of cooling system. One battery is equivalent to the size of the 8. That's how big they are. So basically for you to install it, and then you are asked to move out by the landlord, to dismantle it and put it back again, it can cost up to $500,000 just to put it together. So basically it's not worthy until we have the place. But I think the government is, we have the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance is listening here. I think by the time you go back to his office, I think the building will be available. Absent of mobility. Honestly, so far up to now, even our Honorable Commissioner has never been given any car. And you know that all politicians who are degreed by the President, the next day they get a car. But why our Honorable Commissioner doesn't have a car? Okay? Also dissemination. We are a country whereby we are handling things in a physical nature. The intelligence reports that we normally deliver, we don't deliver by emails. We deliver them physically. And if you don't have a car, you are using a motorbike to deliver. And the Honorable Minister of Interior said it here, Mama Angelina, that there's a threat. You can imagine if I sit on the border taking a very serious case, worth $40 million, and enemies are watching. That's very dangerous. It's dangerous for the document and also for myself. So we're supposed to have a car for even dropping the cases to other government offices for dissemination. So this is the issue. Then limited resources, we miss the meeting. Like for example, the meeting of February. Our case, this is the court. Someone summoned you in court and you are not attending it. So you don't even know what did they discuss. So the outcome of our last miss Okay? The outcome now is that we must come up with a 6 item to be addressed within 30 days. If not, we are getting blacklisted in June. So, and this is simple because we don't attend the meeting because there's no money. Then, inadequate cooperation among stakeholders, because there's some other government offices, when you request, it takes time to get the information. And you know, things you do with the financial intelligence, you don't delay, because by the time you delay even 4 hours, the criminal is already gone. So ours is intact. We're supposed to take with immediate effect, because intelligence is focused on the two components. There's operational and there's strategic. So it depends which one. If it is operational, if it is something very urgent, it's supposed to be maintained immediately. So if we request any government office, for example, Ministry of Justice, we need the detail of the board of directors. We're supposed to get information even less than 1 hour. So we need cooperation. Then, of course, Honorable Adisia mentioned before, our legal system, there's still a loophole. So we need to amend more laws to align to this thing of money laundering and terrorist financing cases. And then, of course, we have to continue with awareness campaign so that people understand this area. Currently, thank God, the authorities already promised that they are working on the membership, because our membership already overdue since January. So, and if we don't pay now, it will be cancelled, and when it's cancelled, it is already just a lack of political will, and we will be affected because of that. Then, of course, I put there that FIU office rent overdue and eviction is obvious. Maybe we don't even know now we are here, we don't know what happened. Maybe the landlord have already locked our office. Then this is the international anti-money laundering. This is just to understand what I was talking about, the engagement. Because people are saying that, but why do you want to go for the meeting 3 times? It is not important. Some even say you can only send, the attending commissioner, to only send 1 person. You can see there the Financial Action Task Force International Cooperation Review Group, ACRG meeting. The ACRG monitors the implementation of MLCFT CPF measures by countries identified with the strategic deficiencies. South Sudan's participation in this meeting is essential to demonstrate progress in addressing the Financial Action Task Force Action Plan and to avoid further reputational and economic consequences. These meetings are usually held 3 times a year, in January, April, and September. For example, in January, Honorable Minister of Interior was with us in Namibia. Now, the next one is in April. We are summoned already. And that's why they said we have to address 6 items before April. So we have to attend. If we miss our next summon, we are gone. Then the last one is September. Then now you come to the second one, which is Financial Action Task Force preliminary meetings. The Financial PATIA preliminary meetings, preliminary is the decision-making body of the PATIA, where global MLCFT CPF standards are set and countries' compliance is assessed. South Sudan presence at this meeting is crucial to showcase our commitment to international MLCFT CPF standard and to advocate for our removal from the grey list. These meetings are usually held 3 times a year. That's in February, June, and October. Okay? Now, this one, when you go for defense in the court, and that's in January. For example, we are going to have one in April. After April, we automatically will have to prepare ourselves for June. You know, because this is where now they go and vote against your country after you defend yourself. Then we have a Isambla task force, which is the Council of Ministers. The Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group, Isambla, is the regional body responsible for implementing PATIA standard in our region. Participation in Isambla meetings allows South Sudan to align with the regional best practices, strengthen cooperation with the neighboring countries, and demonstrate progress in addressing MLCFT CPF deficiencies. These meetings are usually held twice every year, in March and September. Now the next one is going to be on 28th, and we are not prepared. Okay? Then the second one is in September. So it's a must that we must attend. Then there's a question that why are we members to this group? These are money laundering and trust financing bodies. The FATF is the Financial Action Task Force. It was established in 1989 during the G7 summit held in Paris, France. FATF is an intergovernmental organization comprising of 39 member countries and jurisdictions. I think it has increased now, along with several regional organizations and observers countries. The objective and function is to set the international standard, commonly known as the FATF 40 recommendations, promoting effective implementation, identifying emerging threats, encouraging international cooperation. That's the function. Then now we have the ICRG. The ICRG is International Cooperation Review Group as an integral part of the FATF mutual evaluation process, and was established in 2000, to enhance international cooperation in assessment of countries complying with the MLCFT standards. The function is to conduct mutual evaluations. Our mutual evaluation as a country is going to be on the 2029. That's when South Sudan will be assessed whether we are compliant and we are effective. Then also they assess technical compliance and effectiveness. Then identifying deficiencies and providing recommendation. Then they monitor progress and follow up. So these are the guys who are on our neck because they work on behalf of FATF, that the body. Then we have the Eastern Bloc. The Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group is an autonomous and collaborative organization established in 1999 as a regional body to promote effective implementation of international MLCFT standard in its member countries. This is where we are a member. And the objective and function is to enhance regional cooperation, promote regional implementation of FATF recommendation, conduct mutual evaluations, providing technical assistance and training. Now, these are our donors that are supporting us. Now there are people who are saying, oh, FIU is getting money. Why are they asking for money? The support that we get from the donors here is not physical money. These are in kind. For example, a team had mentioned here, our project coordinator. Now they are the one buying the government, which is the system. They are also getting for us the computers. So they don't give commissioner the money, cash money. There's nothing like that. It is just in kind. And if we want to travel, for example, for benchmarking, then they pay, but they don't give you money. So basically, number one is the World Bank. They are committing in providing government somewhere, monitoring financial transaction, and also committed. They are also involved in capacity building and the rest. Then we have number two is the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Of course, when we conducted our risk assessment, they were the one who sponsored it. Then our number three is African Development Bank. Currently, we are going through the support because Eastern Bloc are the one doing the consultancy work on behalf of African Development Bank because they're the one paying. So basically, we are going through trainings, and also they are helping us now with the documentations, some of the laws. Then IMF were the one who sponsored the MLCFT Act 2012 to be amended because they worked so hard to sponsor that. They brought consultant from America. Then the rest. Then we have European Union, which is SK project, and provide technical assistance training. They promised that this year it will be increased, so that it can also cover the other areas that are not being provided by the rest. So these are our donors, and we really thank them for what they're doing. Money laundering is the process, because people said, what is money laundering? Money laundering is the process of conversion or transfer of funds or property, knowing that such funds or property is derived from an offense involving crime or assisting any person who is involved in commission of such an offense. South Sudan is currently on the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force. Grey list is a sanction, and South Sudanese, they call it a silent sanction. I don't know why they call it silent, but it is not silent. Being on the grey list subject the country to increased scrutiny and financial sanction affecting international economic relations and transactions. That's where we are now. We are already experiencing. That's why salaries are delaying. It's not just only because of oil. You know, extent of money laundering, of course, you can see there based on the South Sudan National Risk Assessment results show that corruption, fraud, tax crimes, and counterfeiting are high risk internal threat to the country respectively. More, money laundering activities in South Sudan are rampant because it's too much now. Illicit funds flow through various sectors, including real estate, trade, and the financial system. So these are all. Then the impact, of course, like I said, is already been experienced because persistence of money laundering undermines the integrity of South Sudan financial institutions.
The previous act of 2012, it is only about 29 sections, and talk only about some of the requirement for the MLA and CFT reporting entities, but it is not well captured the issue of preventative measures, how to prevent money laundering, not to commit it or to occur, and how also to prosecute, how to investigate. So it is like there is gaps, legal gaps in that law, which addressed in the current one. So we can say the key amendment and provision into the new act, it is in terms of definitions and regulatory bodies. The new act having a lot of definitions about all the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing institutions, and even the terminologies when you talk about Financial Action Task Force, FATF, when you talk about AML and CFT, also it will be mean, and also what is meant by the other relevant institution. In the new act, also the amendment, there is a financial intelligence unit. In terms of powers and function, there is like expanded powers and function. And also, we'll be talking about the criminalization of money laundering and terrorist financing. Terrorist financing, for the first time, it's criminalized in terms of the terrorist financing and the act of terrorists, and even the terrorist groups and terrorist organizations, and even there is severe sentence. In the previous act, there is no any criminalization of terrorist financing. Then also issues of due diligence, customer due diligence. This in the financial institution, in the banks, they're supposed to carry out customer due diligence, know your clients, and even different type of customer due diligence, like enhancing customer due diligence in terms of certain group of people or certain jurisdiction where there is a risk of money laundering. Then the financial institution should carry out what is mean enhancing due diligence. Also, when they are dealing with politically exposed person, also they have to also enhance due diligence. This is also the new provision under this act, where there is different type of customer due diligence, enhanced due diligence, compliance for the financial institution. For the first time under the act, there is what is called supervisory authority, because you cannot prevent money laundering or prosecute or investigate without getting report from the reporting entities. This report will be reported to the Financial Intelligence Unit. Sometimes the reporting entities will not be carrying out the obligation of reporting. So there is supposed to be a supervisory authority over these reporting entities. Therefore, if they did not comply, then they will be like sanctioned by this supervisory authority. So for the new act, it is for the first time we establish the supervisory authorities that will be supervising the reporting entities, and also reporting entities obliged to submit suspicious transaction and suspicious activities report to the Financial Intelligence Unit. Then also, under the new act, there is also regulating of the digital financing and visual asset. And for the first time, there is issues related to international cooperation. You cannot combat money laundering without having provision enabling international cooperation in terms of mutual legal assistance, extradition, and even asset recovery and sharing even of the asset. You cannot bring, for example, asset from neighboring country without a process of confiscating. And this process needs the relevant authority in the foreign countries to carry out this process. And there will be like a cost in carrying out the process and even cost in bringing back this asset to the country. So for the two countries to agree to carry out the asset recovery process, there must be agreement, sharing of the cost between the two countries, and the law gave the Minister of Finance this power to carry out this asset recovery agreement or sharing of the agreement. So the law strengthens international cooperation. At the same time, there is a lot of strengths and achievement in this law. And finally, we can talk about the weakness. But I will not be in details because of the limitation also of time, but I will be like display the slide, and then I will concentrate only on the important things. So this is very important for you to conceptualize about what we mean by the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Act. This act, the one of 2024, it strengthens the legal framework for combating money laundering and terrorist financing. When we put the abbreviation ML, that means money laundering. TF, that means terrorist financing. So the law strengthens the legal framework in South Sudan and also align the legal framework with the international standard like Financial Action Task Force. When we put the abbreviation FATF or we say FATF, we mean Financial Action Task Force. This is an international body made for setting the standard for combating money laundering. This is a body where they can say the country can be in the gray list or can be in blacklist. And this is internationally agreed. This is a body responsible for setting the international standard for combating money laundering and terrorist financing. The amendment introduced, as I mentioned before, new definition, which is not there in the previous act, and also a stricter compliance requirement for financial institutions, enhanced enforcement mechanism, and stricter penalties. This is the features of the new Act of 2024. So now we have new definition, we have a stricter compliance from the reporting entities, we have what is meant enhanced enforcement mechanism and stricter penalties. The Act also of 2024, the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Financing Terrorism Act, is a significant legislative reform in the country because it was aimed, or it is aimed to, or at strengthening the South Sudan legal framework. The same I mentioned, aligned with the International Task Force, and also boost the Financial Intelligence Unit. When we talk about the Financial Intelligence after the amendment, it is now very strong in terms of core function, in terms of even the status, in terms also of the powers given to it, not like the Financial Intelligence Unit before in 2012. So it is introduced, as I mentioned, stricter compliance measures for the financial institution. And also when we talk about financial institution, there is two financial. There is financial institution, there is non-financial institution, and there is other designated non-business professional also are meant to report to Financial Intelligence Unit. Okay, yes, I said the amendment is strengthening institutional and regulatory framework. For example, there is a financial intelligence unit independent and authority, and also the Act grant full autonomy to the financial intelligence unit. The financial intelligence unit is empowered to monitor, investigate. What we mean by investigation, not the investigation of the police, but analyzing the report that will be brought to them and report financial crime. It has also given authority to request information from the financial institution overseas and also suspicious transaction and collaborate with international agencies. That's why we say there is strengthening institutional and also regulatory framework in terms of financial intelligence unit. This is the new function and powers given to financial intelligence unit. Also, when we talk about this, the Act, there is also expanded supervisory and law enforcement roles. The law for the supervisory authorities and also the law for the law enforcement agencies. There is multiple government agencies are now involved in MLA and CFT enforcement. For example, there is Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Finance and Planning, and Bank of South Sudan, and the National Revenue Authority, Anti-Corruption Commission, National Security Service, and law enforcement agencies. All of them under this act are being considered the national in the national committee. At the same time, they are competent authorities by the law in regard to issues of whether investigation of money laundering or prosecution of money laundering or issues of international cooperation. So in the analysis, we can say the expanded oversee ensure better coordination in MLA and enforcement. However, overlap responsibilities may lead to insufficiency and conflict between some of agencies if they are not understanding their role properly, because there will be role to be played by Minister of Justice, not the Minister of Interior. The other one will be played, for example, intelligence by the national security, and the other one for supervisory by the Bank of South Sudan. But if every institution not adhere to the role mandated by the law, then maybe overlap will be happening. In terms of the scope and the authority, the Act applied throughout South Sudan and regulate banking, financial institution, and monetary affairs. So it strengthens the Financial Intelligence Unit as an independent national body to monitor and report suspicious transactions. In terms of definition, there is a lot of definition were brought into the current amendment which passed by the Assembly and assented by His Excellency the President. The important definition, for example, we are not going to talk about in details, but the term PEPs, the political exposed person, under this act now include domestic. In the previous act, domestic political exposed person are not included. And then also there is definition of suspicious transaction and what is meant by visual asset. And this is for the first time we are having clauses or provision about visual asset, crypto currencies and bitcoins and all digital money. And also for the first time we do have the definition about the terrorist and what is meant by terrorist financing. The law expands the definition of financial institution to include, for example, digital lenders and then also investment fund and visual asset service providers, which is abbreviated VAS. The law also defines the competent authority and responsible for enforcement, as I mentioned before. And the important things I would like to include also here, there is also expansion in the definition of the predicate offenses. Predicate offenses not as before 19 predicate offenses. Now it is every offense that can be punished by the court for more than 6 months is considered predicate offenses. Yes, when we talk about the money laundering and terrorist financing, the important things here to consider in this issue that the punishment now is become severe than the punishment in the previous act, and now it can go up to 10 years imprisonment and fine 3 times if it is a company, and twice of the laundered money if it is an individual. And then the important things also is that there is a lot of criminalization. I will give it in my last in the last how many conducts have been criminalized. Terrorist financing also for this act can last for life imprisonment, and also there will be a fine. Corporate entities like companies, like organizations engaged in money laundering under this act can be also criminalized in terms of the managing directors or shareholders or somebody in charge of this institution. And even the act gave also power to liquidate and also to deregister all of these entities. Yes, there is expansion in legal expansion in the offenses. For the first time also under this act, you may find that there is even an attempt attempted transaction linked to financial crime are criminalized. Indirect support for a terrorist group is also criminalized. So we can say acts now it is a strong deterrence against the financial crime, and proving intent in terrorist financing cases could be legally complex. In issues of customer due diligence, there is also a lot of provision. The important thing is that all the financial institutions must verify a customer identity before transaction, and enhanced due diligence is required, and politically exposed person in terms like if the person is a politically exposed person, or the transaction coming from high risk financial transaction for at least 5 years, and they must report all suspicious transactions to the financial intelligence unit. So we can analyze, say, a stronger CDD required, reduce the risk of financial crimes. So, and then a strict compliance may burden a small financial institution that lack resources. Reporting and compliance for financial institution, it is mandatory under this law that suspicious transaction, yes, STR, be reported to the financial intelligence unit, and in case if the transaction above the threshold, like a lower 10,000 US dollar, and then in case of suspicious patterns of activities, and for the record keeping requirement, we say under the law, it must retain transaction record for at least 5 years. Failure to report can lead to fine and criminal penalties. For the supervisory and enforcement mechanism, regulators can conduct an inspection. These are lower powers given to regulators like Bank of South Sudan, and then also the supervisory authorities that will be designated by Minister of Finance can carry out the same inspection for the reporting entities. In terms if there is violation, they can impose fine, and also for non-compliance. Then financial institution also failing to comply with the CDD, lower customer due diligence, and suspicious transaction report, they are not submitting, or the regulatory directive that can be issued by the central bank or by the financial intelligence unit, can have also their license revoked, and other penalties. Penalties for breaches range from heavy fine to criminal prosecution. It will be up to the supervisory authority to see if the matter requires prosecution, then they will disseminate the issue to the relevant law enforcement agencies for prosecution. For the cross-border and asset freezing, the custom authorities under this law must be notified of the large cash movement across the border. And the authorities can seize an asset related to criminal activity, and the Act also enables asset recovery and sharing agreement with the foreign government. For the regulating digital financing and cross-border, the visual asset service providers under this Act must be licensed. And digital financial transactions are now subject to MLA, AML, and CFT regulation. There is tougher control on cross-border transactions. For example, large cash transactions must be declared at the border point. Custom authorities can seize under undeclared or suspicious funds. So, regulating visual assets prevent digital money laundering risk, and the Act, in our opinion, lacks a detailed mechanism for monitoring crypto transactions. In terms of international cooperation, I said for the first time, there is provision about international cooperation in which, for example, Minister of Justice have been authorized as a central authority and can designate this power to any government agencies. At the same time, also, is strengthening collaborations with the Foreign Financial Intelligence Unit and the law enforcement. So the law, the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2024, allow for extradition, allow for request of mutual legal assistance for MLA, MLA, and CFT cases. And South Sudan, this is our opinion, must comply with the UN Security Council sanction or resolution on the terrorists, and we already have a provision, and it will be enabling by the Council of Ministers to designate the agents that will be in charge of implementing the UN Security Council resolution concerning terrorist financing and cooperation. So it is facilitated now. The Act facilitates international asset tracking and extradition of financial criminals, and international also mutual legal assistance. In terms of analysis, we can say the law improved the South Sudan credibility in the global finance, and and also international cooperation will be ineffective unless local agencies improve enforcement capacity. This is supposed to be in the beginning, but there is like a problem. So to conclude, because this is a main topic I want to emphasize, the finding of the national risk assessment was the result of the amendment of the Act. So I will be concentrating on the red lower line. For example, here, sharing the result of its national, the country shared the result of the national risk assessment with the stakeholders. And as a result, the amendment also conducted, we implementing the national risk assessment, and we designate the financial intelligence unit according to the law. The amendment now has become independent, so we implement the national risk assessment. Also, mandate a close monitoring and regulation of a non-profit organization. There is ongoing amendment onto the Act relevant to non-profit organization at the risk of financing of terrorists. And then also, we regulate as a country, enforce financial sanctions in line with the Security Council resolution. We said there is a clause under the Act where enabling the Council of Ministers to designate the relevant authority. South Sudan has has followed the Financial Action Task Force recommendation to address its strategic weaknesses. For example, all of this, what have I said, this kind of addressing the deficiencies ironed out by the Financial Action Task Force. So we enhance the financial intelligence, we establish the competent authorities, we establish the supervisory authorities. We establish the investigating authorities. People now start receiving suspicious transaction report in the financial intelligence unit. The question, however, the country, AMLA and CFT legal framework mostly comply with the Financial Action Task Force, whether 40 recommendation or 9, but it's remained classified on the list of gray list, and they have talked about the previous, So the information derived from the National Risk Assessment, it is derived from public available data and also from National Treasury. The important things, the outcome that corruption is the top, followed by fraud and tax evasion and counterfeiting and illegal natural resources, and also extraction and forest and wildlife smuggling, drug trafficking. This is the Lua. However, there is currently no available data on the crime statistics. This is one of the challenge, and also estimated frequently and economic value of the process of crime also generated annually. We don't have any accurate data on this area. We want to improve. Nor official statistics on also cases with money laundering cases, whether for investigation or for prosecution. Yes. South Sudan also, to comply with the National Risk Assessment, ratified the convention, the Vienna Convention, the Palermo Convention, and criminalize the money laundering and even the terrorist financing, and chosen the combined approach through its national laws. And the country now is reviewing some of the laws and regulations. For example, I said non-profit organization. Yeah, we can say also the anti-money laundering amended, the one of South Sudan here. Apart from the amendment, also we amend the Anti-Corruption Act in line with the domestication of the convention. At the same time, also we propose the draft bill to the Ministry of Justice in regard to anti-trafficking in person. We can conclude like this. Number one, there is the act stress the following. This is what the outcome of the analysis of our act. Now we can say we align the international standard, whether the FATF, the UN, the SEMELAC, with some issues that will be, and we try to obtain the political will so to resolve it. We expand the government oversight over the financial crime. Now Financial Intelligence Unit granted more powers to become independent, and there is RICO penalties, and there is prohibition anonymous accounts, and increasing a lot of financial transparency. This is one of the objectives. When we come to the weakness, and we still see that there is loopholes, we can say that there is a limitation of enforcement capacity for the relevant institution. There is a lack of trained personnel in financial crime investigation. This is one of the recommendations to be carried out. And there is also weak interagency coordination, could slow down enforcement. That's why there is proposal that the National Committee will form a task force for interagency coordination in terms of investigation, prosecution, and other things. Also, a higher compliance burden for a small financial institution. Strict KYC and CDD requirement may create barriers for small businesses and financial providers. There is lack of clarity and issue of cryptocurrency regulation. So also this one of the weakness, we are going to work on it. No detailed framework on how South Sudan will monitor and regulate cryptocurrency. In regard to political and corruption risk, the AMLA and CFT enforcement could be weakened by corruption. And we do agree with the statement of Honorable Minister of Interior that we have to protect those who will be working in this area, whether in financial intelligence unit or prosecution or investigation, so that they will not be affected by the corrupts or the launderers to be drive to their side and spoil all the investigation and cases. Key recommendation, we are recommending the following. Number one, strengthen the institutional capacity So we have to provide more fund and training for the financial intelligence unit and the law enforcement agencies and even the regulatory bodies. Number two, we have to develop a clear anti-money laundering and counter financing terrorists for the cryptocurrency policy, so that also will not be affected. We have to also introduce, as I mentioned, a guideline for monitoring this cryptocurrency transaction. We have to improve also interagency coordination, as I mentioned, like the task force to streamline cooperation among the different enforcement agencies. We have to increase the public awareness. This is one of the program of the Financial Intelligence Unit, public awareness. It should not be end on this one, should increase to other sectors. So we have to train financial institutions on new compliance obligations. This kind of one day and small limited time cannot give a person a time to express or to elaborate and explain well. So in conclusion, I can say, because there will be a question or comment, I can say like this. The 2024 amendment, it is a significantly enhanced South Sudan ability to combat financial crime by enforcing. Now we can say there is a stricter regulatory control, there is empowering of the financial intelligence unit, there is increase in the penalties, there is aligning with the international standard set by the Financial Action Task Force. What we need a qualified personnel in the financial intelligence unit, in the law enforcement agencies, in the judiciary, in the Ministry of Justice, so that we will not be hearing cases being dismissed while it's still under investigation. This is one of the indications that there is a problem in capacity building in some areas. The same also, we will not be hearing issues like companies involved in crime not being prosecuted and deregistered. And also we'll be not hearing that there is no adequate information being disseminated upon request from the registrar of the company in terms of beneficial owners or in terms of any information related to any companies or organization. So the Act ensures that the financial institution should adopt what is meant by risk-based approach. This is a law for all the financial institutions and competent authority to carry out risk-based approach in their institution in regard to money laundering and terrorist financing, and they should comply with the national risk assessment conducted by the country, and they should abide by the requirement that for established under the law in terms of customer due diligence and also know your client and reporting suspicious transaction and even reporting suspicious activities related to money laundering and terrorist financing. So the Act ensures the financial institution adopt the risk-based approach to prevent money laundering, terrorist financing, illicit financial flow in the country. There is a question, if they are not complying, the time is not enough, I would have tell you all the crimes that can be posted against them, but non-compliance with any provision under the Anti-Money Laundering Act will invite a who are sanctioned, whether administrative sanction by the supervisory authority or penalties that will be carried out through the prosecution process before the court. So the 2024, we can conclude by saying that the Act is a major reform that to be recognized in the effort of the country as a political will, is a major reform that aligns South Sudan financial sector with the international standard. We can be strongly said we have this law and we developing the regulations and the guidelines that will be soon also available to all of us. Now the law, we can say, completed, because now you will be having rules, regulations, guidelines, and even directives. And the good things that we, under the law, the commissioner have been given a power to issue these directives, guidelines, circulars. The only that will be issued by the minister is the regulations and the ministerial orders. So the law strengthens financial intelligence unit, and now there is a stricter compliance requirement, harsh penalties will help combat illicit financial flow in the country. However, this is our opinion and our concern. Effective implementation of this act and this provision of this act will require better enforcement mechanism, will require interagency coordination, will require training. Therefore, the endorsed amendment is a robust legal framework, but concern persists regarding enforcement and institutional channel. Thank you very much.
This initiative comes as South Sudan seeks to build international trust and solidify its financial security.